Hello! I hope you were as excited to receive your very first community food box as we were. In this video, I'm going to show you some recipes that you can use to make use of the food in your box. So today, I'm going to make use of the potatoes, the pineapple, an onion maybe if that's your choice, cucumber, and tomatoes. So let's get cooking. The very first thing we're going to make is a potato and pineapple hash that you could have for breakfast or lunch or breakfast for dinner. And so we're going to start by cutting up the potatoes into bite-sized pieces, which I've already done here. And you're going to want to coat them with some kind of oil. I've used a little bit of ghee and avocado oil because both of those are really great at higher temperatures in the oven. You can use what you have on hand. I've set my oven to 400 degrees and I'm just going to mix this up and add a little salt and pepper. And then you can add whatever spice you want. So if you like things spicy, maybe you've got like a Mexican spice you want to try, or maybe you want to keep things kind of simple. Rosemary would be really good with the pineapple. Steak spice is a favorite of ours with all kinds of things roasted in the oven. Today I'm going to use a little Lebanese 7 spice just to give it a different kind of flavor. So once you've coated your potatoes in spice, salt and pepper, just give that a mix and throw that on a baking sheet. Now if you have a larger family, I have a small one. If you have a larger family, you can use a larger baking sheet, you can use more potatoes. This is actually just two, one really large one and one small one. You can make as many as you want. These recipes are flexible. They don't have to be exact. That's the wonderful thing about cooking. So you're going to want to spread those out on your pan. So there's lots of room around them. That's going to let the potatoes brown up in the oven. And then you're going to put those in the oven, set your timer for 15 minutes, and then we're going to add the pineapple and, if you want to, the onion. So while that's cooking, you're going to want to take your pineapple and cut some of it up into bite-sized chunks. You want to use about half the amount of potatoes, so take a look at the amount of potatoes you have, cut up about half that much of bite-sized pineapple. If you've never broken down a fresh pineapple before, Google it. There's lots of great videos on how to do that and make it super easy. So I'll see you back here when the potatoes are done. Okay, so my potatoes just came out of the oven and hopefully you can see how they're starting to crisp up. I'm just going to give them a bit of a stir. And then we're going to add the pineapple. So I've cut about half the amount in bite-sized chunks. So I'm going to just put those on with the potatoes. And if you like the flavor of onions, you can add some of those chopped up at this time as well. Let me give that a stir. And again, just kind of spreading things out so that they brown up. Now, if you want, at this stage, there's a couple other things you could add. If you have some cooked ham or sausage or even bacon that you want to throw in and mix in there, that would be really good. If you find it's kind of dry and needs a little more oil, go ahead and put a little bit more on just so things don't stick to your pan. And then you're going to put it back in the oven for another 15 minutes. Now, if you want to serve this with eggs, like that's what I'm going to do, then while that's cooking, you're going to want to get out your eggs. You could fry them or poach them and then serve them on top of your hash. And then if you like runny yolks, the runny yolks will run into the hash and that tastes really good, or you could serve them on the side. So I'm going to throw this back in the oven and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so my hash is done out of the oven. I've poached an egg on top. This is how I'm going to serve it. And cutting into my egg provides a nice sauce for the hash. Now there's all kinds of ways you can personalize a hash. We've used the potatoes and the onions and the pineapple from the box. But if you have other veggies, you can easily throw that on that tray too. It's really versatile. You can use all different kinds of vegetables. We like peppers in ours. Typically, any other root vegetable could be cut up and put in with the potato. So you can have fun with it. If you enjoyed it, have fun with it. Okay, let's do another pineapple recipe. So in this recipe, we're going to make some pineapple salsa. So if you enjoy salsa, pineapple just adds another extra little kick to it, something different. So we're going to use the pineapple, we're using the tomatoes, I'm throwing in some of the cucumber, and we're going to use a half of an orange. There's lots of variations. I'm going to start with what's in the box and then give you some ideas of what else you could do. So in my bowl here, I have finely chopped the pineapple, some of the tomatoes, about the same amount of both, and then some cucumber finely chopped just until it looked good. So again, these recipes are really forgiving. You can just kind of put in what you like and what you want. So then we need to give it some liquid on it, and you could use a lime or a lemon if you had those. We had oranges in the box, that's what I'm going to use. If you have a reamer or a juice squeezer, those are really great tools. But even if you don't, a fork is a great way to get the juice out of a citrus fruit. So I'm just going to squeeze this juice, and the orange will give it a different flavor than usual. Lime would be more traditional for a salsa, but let's use what we have, right? So I'm going to get all the juice out of that. Okay. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of olive oil. Looks good. And a little salt. And a little pepper. Now you could leave it at that if you like things mild. That's a very mild salsa, but you can also kick this up with some other ingredients. So I just chopped up some fresh garlic, so I'm going to stick that in. If you have some fresh herbs around, parsley, cilantro would be really good in a salsa. Some people really don't like cilantro. It's got saponins in it, which tastes like soap to some people. I personally love it, but I actually had some parsley in the fridge, so I'm going to throw some of that in. But it's totally not necessary. If you don't have those things around your kitchen, you can just leave them out. If you want to spice it up a little bit, you could add a little sprinkle of chili. You could cut in some jalapeno peppers. This is your salsa. You can make it the way you like, and then, you know, taste it as you go. So I have my salsa all mixed up, and I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit just to let all those flavors meld in, especially the garlic. Something else you could add in, if you really like the taste of onion, you could add some of those finely chopped onions in there, or a red onion. So again, lots of options. So once it's sat, then it's ready to enjoy, and you can enjoy it any way that you would enjoy a regular salsa. You could cook up some fish and have it over the fish, or some chicken or pork, really any meat it would go nicely with. You could do taco night and have this as the salsa instead of the regular salsa, and just kind of kick things up a little bit. So whatever you do, I hope you find a way that you can enjoy the food in your box. I'm going to wrap up with just a few other quick ideas for things you could do with the box. So I have this pineapple left over from my 2 recipes. I'm going to lay that out flat on a tray and freeze it, and then I'm going to blend it either in my food processor, or if you have a high-speed blender, you can use that as well, and it makes a delicious, delicious ice cream that has no sugar, nothing added, just the pineapple itself. You could also throw in some bananas from the freezer. Our green bananas from our bin aren't ready for this job yet, but if you happen to have brown bananas, I tend to take the skins off, throw them in the freezer, and then they can be used for things like this nice cream, or, you know, baking or smoothies or that sort of thing. Frozen pineapple could also be thrown into a smoothie if you decide to go that route. I'm also going to use some of the carrots and pineapple to make some muffins later today. If I had leftover pineapple, I could throw that into my morning oatmeal, maybe with a little bit of nutmeg, maybe a little bit of ginger would be good with that. An idea I have for the apples and pears that were in our bin, I actually found some leftover rhubarb from the summer still in the back of the freezer, so I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to throw in some peeled and chopped apple and some peeled and chopped pear and make a rhubarb apple pear sauce. I could have also thrown that in a pan and thrown some oatmeal mixed with a little oil, some spices, baked it in the oven, and had a rhubarb apple pear crisp. If you don't have rhubarb in your freezer, you can actually just do that with the apples and the pears. So lots of fun things to do with your box. I'd love to hear how you are making use of your box veggies, and I look forward to next month.